Okay, hello everyone, Mr. K here. Today we're going to be talking some more about brakes, and we're going to talk about different brake pad materials, some dangers involved with that, and also breaking in your new brake pads or shoes. Okay, pad material selection, dangers, breaking in the brakes. There you go. I have a duplicate slide, but it summarizes it. Okay, so we're talking about brake materials. You can buy the same type of brake pad in 3 or 4 different flavors a lot of times for the same vehicle. So go ahead and pause my video now and watch this one. Okay, you should have just watched that video. Hopefully that helped you understand a few of the options for brake pads. We're going to go into it a little more now. Okay, so these are your big three. There's some other options out there for racing and some other options if you really dig, I guess you'd say. But these are basically the three options that you're going to get if you go to Napa or Riley's or AutoZone and you're looking for brakes for your car. So organic is the cheapest. Uh, I've seen those as low as $13 for a pair. So $13 for all the front brakes to replace all the front brakes on like a 90s Caprice or Crown Vic or something that's just mass produced. There's, just millions of them made. They're going to be cheap like that. And that's going to be an organic pad. Okay. Organic pads don't last real long. They're really dusty. If you don't want to use them on a vehicle that's got fancy wheels or rims, because the brake dust just goes everywhere. They do work pretty well though. They'll stop the car. They overheat fast. If you're pulling big trailers, or if you live in a southern state or a state like Kentucky or something like that, I would not buy organic pads for my car. But if you're trying to save money and you live in Indiana or Ohio or something like that, you can probably get away with organic pads. Okay, especially if you don't have fancy wheels. Okay, ceramic is what most people will tell you is the best of all worlds. They're really expensive. They're pretty good with performance. They don't have a lot of noise, and they don't tear up your brake system or your rotors real bad. Metallic's kind of the compromise, I guess. They're tough. They're good for towing. Again, high performance. They're kind of pricey, and they do wear out your brake rotors because they're kind of a tough pad. Um, Overall, I guess if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick metallic. Semi-metallic is probably what I have on most of my vehicles. Uh, I don't really have a problem with them tearing up the rotors, and I would rather have that high performance braking for pulling trailers. All right. You can go on lots of websites and find this, but this is just a quick chart. This is actually off the Wagner's Brakes website. Just kind of sums up a little bit of what we've been talking about. And a lot of these hopefully are what you'd expect. Again, towing, hauling, you're looking at semi-metallic, police vehicle, semi-metallic. You're going to put a bunch of gear in the vehicle. These two. Ceramic doesn't actually last as long, but it's quiet. So that's why they have it checked for personal or family vehicle. Smooth highway type roads. Okay, again, ceramic and organic. Extreme conditions, off-roading. Those semi-metallic pads are good because they're tough. They can withstand some dirt contamination, that type of thing. It's not going to tear them up as much. Of course, reduce brake dust and the longer pad life. We already talked about that. So while we're on this topic, we should probably go over some costs. So when I say they're more expensive, you might wonder exactly what that means. So let's get you a little more detail on that. So when I say they're more expensive, I mean they're a lot more expensive. Okay, we're looking at brake pads here for a 99 Silverado, pretty common truck, right? We've got one in the shop right now. And your plain Jane, just plain old Napa front brake pads are $28 for a set, which to me is actually kind of expensive for an organic set of organic pads. But anyway, there you go, $28. Semi-metallic, $79.99. Okay, there you go. There's your high performance for towing and that type of thing. But remember, they're a little bit loud. And there's your ceramic, $89.99. Huge difference, right? From about $30 to $90. Okay. So you might say, is there one that can do it all? Is there a braking material that's quiet and good with heat and good in dirt and dusty conditions, and just can't there be one that does it all? And the answer is yes, there is. Okay. Yeah, and wears over 100,000 miles. Let's add that to the list. And it's these. Notice that box looks a little bit old. And if you look down here, this is made of asbestos. So it's an asbestos brake. Uh-oh, but there's a downside, right? Because you never get something for nothing. If something's gonna be better, there's always a catch. And guess what? They are banned in the US. Auto manufacturers can't use them anymore. They were fantastic for brakes. Asbestos brakes could handle heat. They lasted a long time. They didn't wear out fast. They were cheap. They were quiet, but they kill people, especially mechanics. So we don't like that, right? And guess what? They're not just dangerous for the mechanics. They're dangerous for everyone that works in that facility, because asbestos fibers get caught in the air and they float around, and they can eventually cause cancer or kill people that worked in the next room over. Bad, bad stuff. Here's a video. Go ahead and pause mine and watch that now. Okay. Should have watched that video. Actually, all you really needed to watch is the first minute and 10 seconds. So minute and 10 seconds of that video. Okay. And that should have shown you talking about brake dust and asbestos. You can find it in some other parts also. Other parts of the vehicle, got to beware. This is just some examples. I'm sure there's more than this, but again, found in brake dust, as we know, brake pads, brake shoes, whatever it may be. Also clutches. Under the hood, you've got fiberglass, or I'm sorry, you got insulation that I always think of as being fiberglass, but it's not always fiberglass. It can have asbestos in it as well. All right. So let's set aside different pad materials, and let's set aside asbestos, and let's talk about what are you going to do when you get new brake pads, okay, once you install them. You have to do something called burnishing them or bedding them. You got to bed in or burnish in the new pads. There's some different ways to do that. Let's go ahead and watch this video just for fun. This guy, I think, overdoes it a little bit, but good video to watch. So go ahead and watch that. Okay, you should have just watched that video on burnishing pads. He starts his on fire. That's a little more than what most manufacturers are going to recommend. But anyway, the whole point of burnishing pads is kind of what you saw in the video. As you get the car up to speed and you apply the brakes, and then you get the car up to speed and you apply the brakes, and you do that over and over and over again, and you really heat up the new pads, and you actually want them to distribute a layer of brake pad on the rotor, as you can see in this diagram, which, by the way, this diagram is right off of wagnerbrakes.com, so it's a reliable source here, and that's what they do. The brake pads, as you burnish them, they deposit that layer onto the brake rotor, and they give it like a nice smooth sheen. Okay, so burnishing them mates the rotor to the new pads, activates the resins and deposits the material, lessens noise and vibration. Okay. Now, depending on which manufacturer you look at, they're going to have slightly different methods of burnishing the brakes, but just to make it, I guess, just to show you all sides of it. Asbestos is going to say you put brand new pads on, go out, drive the car, and perform 10 stops. Slow it down from 40 to 10, but don't stop the vehicle. Go back up to 40 to 10. I think they say take short breaks in between the 40 to 10, and then let it cool for 15 minutes. And then if you've got old rotors on there, if you didn't put new rotors on there, or you didn't resurface the rotors, do it again. Do it one more time. Wagner's a little different flavor. They say 20 stops from 30 all the way down to 0 with 30-second breaks in between that. And then they say drive for 5 minutes and just don't use the brakes, and that's how you cool them off. and then repeat them again if you're using old rotors. Do it again. When you're looking at rotors, a brand new one would be on the left, and then one that was brand new but has been again bedded in would be on the right. So the one on the right has already had some of the I guess the roughness filled in with brake material, brake pad material, and that's what it's supposed to look like. Okay, so we've talked about rotors, or sorry, we've talked about different types of pads, pad selection. We've talked about breaking in those pads. We talked about the dangers of asbestos. At this point in time, go ahead and complete your assignment on brake systems part 3. Have a good day.